Hey guys, how you doing today? How's everybody going? Did you have a good day? I know I did. Monday. We started, well, a water tune-up drill today, and a big one. I've been thinking about this for a long time. We're actually covering water tune-up in my membership this month, and we've got great stuff going right now. I've got a 7-leg water tune-up going. All right. I guess I need to make sure everybody can hear me. Robin's giving me a little thumbs up to make sure. And I don't have a chat box here, honey. I hope you're doing well. I got a thumbs up over there. All right. Perfect. All right. Robin's checking the feedback. Sounds okay. Give me another thumbs up if it is. I got a reflection in my glasses there. Hope it's okay. I got ahead of myself a little bit, didn't I? Because I wanted to tell you about my day of training because I've been thinking about this water tune-up for a long time and just kind of visualizing it. It's one I did last year for the first time, but I've made a few modifications. And it's something you really want to get right because you're going to spend 4 to 5, essentially an entire week of training running. Well, these dogs are going to do minimum of 28 water blinds this week. And I've got dogs of all levels here. I've got a dog really doing his first sets of blinds, his first channel blinds. I've got 2 dogs that are really just starting to do real blinds. Now, I was able to move up a little closer, make the entries a little friendlier for those dogs, but the blinds were the same. The destinations were the same for those dogs. It went well. I expect this to be a valuable week. And these blinds, well, they're going to take 20 to 25 minutes to complete per dog. That's a long time for a dog to stay engaged. There's a lot of things that go on there in the challenges of mental toughness and a lot of the things that get implemented when you start basics. Some of these dogs are going to get, well, they're going to get some corrections. Now, I don't look for trouble on a tune-up drill, but what I do think that is critical is that I continue the process of keeping dogs, well, understanding the rules of retrieving. We talked about that in my last week. One of the probably most important steps that I really, really want to drive home to you guys when I'm doing basics and when I'm doing this water tune-up, that the expectation or what I'm asking for is crystal clear. I think we get ourselves in trouble when we don't clarify what the goal is enough. I don't think you can be too clear, whether you're force fetching, doing pile work, double T, swim by. You need to make the goals, the clarity of what it is you're asking as clear and identifiable as possible. The process of maintaining a good response to corrections and pressure, which is the goal, because listen, these dogs that have a lot of desire and they're birdie, they're gonna fall off the wagon. Let's call it that. They're going to misbehave. They're going to get exuberant. It's going to be an ongoing maintenance program throughout these dogs' lives. So I need to maintain all of that foundation work that we've done in Bombproof Basics. And you need to keep it alive. You can't just put it on the shelf and use it a year from now and expect it to work. So the ongoing process of, keeping these dogs understanding what corrections are, keeping them conditioned to pressure so that when you use it, it's effective. It's not ineffective. It doesn't become counterproductive. So I'm going to go a little bit more in depth on what some of my golden rules are. And the number one golden rule, and it starts in basics, is you don't use pressure to teach the dog. You teach a lesson and you use pressure to reinforce what's already been taught. So are you thinking, like, well, what does that mean? Identify the task. Number one, always. There were 5 steps in the world of, I've called it the world of force, but it can be, you can talk about it in the steps of conditioning a dog through a sequence or an understanding of a task and the application of pressure to reinforce that. Step 1, always identify the task. Clearly identify what it is you want them to do. You can't make that clear enough. 2, you apply pressure to reinforce the task. You find opportunities, because what you're trying to do is you're trying to build in the tools that you're going to use throughout their life. And you're going to do that in basics. 3, you're going to remove pressure. You're going to check and proof it. Did the correction or the reinforcement of the task that I identified, that I showed these dogs how to do, whether it's a cheating single, whether it's fetch to the pile, whether it's sitting on the whistle on the T pattern, all of these things are the steps and the rules of retrieving, just like we talked about. And then so you identify the task. You apply some form to reinforce the task because they're not always going to do it. Then the removal of the pressure. Does the correction that you use or the reinforcement carry over? Because you don't want to have to do it every time. And then, then there's the application of positive reinforcement, adding praise, right? So you've identified it, you've reinforced it, you've taken the pressure away, then you've rewarded the effort that you got, hopefully, and then you take the praise away. Then you go. And so there were always 5 steps. Identify the task, apply pressure, remove pressure, apply praise, remove praise. Does that seem significant? Well, when you put a dog through basics, Bombproof Basics, those are the steps you really go through over and over and over again. You want to teach them what it is you want. You want to make sure you have the tools to enforce those. And then you want to make sure it lasts. You take the pressure away. That's 3. And then you want them to respond to being praised. Because sometimes praise is counterproductive. They think, well, wait a minute. If you're happy with me, I don't have to behave anymore. You want to teach them to accept praise for what it is. You did a good job. Doesn't mean you don't have to behave. It just means I'm happy with what you did. So, hey, I'm working with this young puppy, Merlin, huh? And, he's not the average hybrid field trial dog, but this is a cool little dog. He's got he's spunky. He likes to retrieve. He's incredibly birdy. So what's the flip side of being spunky? Well, he's a little stubborn at times. He maybe doesn't take you serious. Here's how you start molding that dog that is compliant but still natural. Because you don't want to take the naturalness out of him. I want him to be spunky. I turn that spunkiness, or a little bit of, maybe at times a little bit of a devil, into a dog that doesn't want to give up at a tough situation. Hey, that's a wonderful trait. But at times it's a little bit challenging. Well, how do you start to identify that? Well, early on in basics, in bomb-proof basics, you're going to go through, and we're doing it right now with Merlin. I'm teaching him how to fetch a bumper. He loves to chase it, but now he doesn't necessarily want to hold it under my rules. Well, I'm trying to teach him the best response to being reinforced on a task. You know, I really go into incredible depth on this in a course I call Bombproof Basics that I took a year and a half out of my life to my wife Robin. She filmed every day, and we followed the ventures of three dogs specifically, but there were a few others. And I really went through all of these lessons, and I tried really hard to show the good, the bad, and the ugly, identify these kinds of things I'm talking about tonight. How to identify effort, how to motivate effort, how to reward and apply praise at the right time, and not using praise as bribery. I didn't bribe dogs, and I don't want you to bribe your dog to abuse. I don't want to tell you a good dog before you've done something that is good in effort just to try to get them to try. No, no, I'm going to show them what to do. I'm going to expect them to do it, and I'm going to reward the effort. Well, that's the kind of things that we do in a basics course. And the Bombproof Basics course that I just described is going to be available again in what, May? Did you say, honey? Starting in May, we're going to make that available. And if you're going to do a basics dog and you need some help, well, it's something you may want to check out. I personally think it's really a 40 years of my career, and I've been taught by some of the best, and I've done a lot of basics dogs, and I feel that this is just the right balance. So I hope if you're on that journey, this is something you might want to look at. So with that being said, I guess I just want to tell you a little bit about when I do a big water tune-up like I did today, and I watch how these dogs react. There's a couple dogs in particular that are younger. I try to look for opportunities so that the challenges are really clear. And the opportunities oftentimes, these are water blinds. These are 7 water blinds. Dogs are going to get tired. They're progressively more challenging. And I don't typically correct on the first offense. In other words, a dog starts to cheat, I blow, I cast, I may argue with him a little bit. But these young dogs in particular, I'm going to look for clear context to what it is I'm asking. Once again, I'm trying to identify the task. Most of the time, I want you to stay in the water. I want you to get in the water. I want you to get back in the water. You know, those are the kinds of scenarios. Now, there are times where you start to see, like, I'm not sure this is going to be real clear, so I'm going to avoid a correction here. But something I think about very hard, I want you to think about this yourself. I make corrections when I anticipate them going well. In other words, I anticipate a collar correction, a whistle with a nick is oftentimes a whistle with a correction, depending on how severe I want to be. So I give a cast, a dog says, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to stay on land, or I'm going to not get back in the water. And then the next whistle oftentimes has an e-collar correction with it. That's the whistle, nick, whistle, and then the re-giving of the cast that caused me to decide to make that correction. But I look for scenarios where especially with these young dogs, where I anticipate the response to be clear and positive. There's times where I'm saying, like, I'm not sure he's going to understand this. So even though I do need to tell him he's doing something wrong, but I look for clear situations when they're closer to land and I'm telling them to stay in the water, or they're close enough to the water to understand what it is they're being corrected for. And there's a high likelihood that they're going to respond well after that, because I'm continuing the process throughout their life of trying to mold that good response to the pressure that they're going to receive when we start to expand these challenges. I don't know if that's clear enough, but I try real hard to explain it to you. And I want you to, so much of this is just understanding the philosophy, because I don't just correct every time. And every time they do something wrong, or every time I think they may be doing something wrong. I correct in the situations where I know there's clear understanding and a high likelihood of a good response. So that's my tip of the day. And I keep telling myself that. And I did that today. So I think we had a good day. We're going to continue this throughout this week. And I think these dogs are going to really benefit from it, because we did a land tune-up early in January, which was a 20-minute set of blinds, was kind of it was a mental drain. These dogs are going to get mentally drained here. They're going to be a little, but it's perfect. The water temperature's 70s. The temperature's not too hot. This is exactly the right time to push these dogs a little bit more than they're normally being pushed. So I'll keep you updated on this. So, hey, thanks for being here. I hope these little tip of the days, a little review of what's going on in training, maybe my thoughts that I want to share with you, maybe they strike home. And, well, I'd love to hear what you think. Stay tuned. You're going to hear more of this kind of stuff, okay? All right. Have a great night. And, well, wait a minute. I got talking so much I didn't even get a drink of my beer. So that's what's going to happen next. I hope you guys had a good evening, and hope you're having a good happy hour. All right. Good night, and thank you. Bye-bye.